Hello, everyone. I'm Linnea Batiste with Lake Nona Social, one of the hosts, and today we are doing another Facebook Live interview. This is something that we're going to be trying to do more often just to educate you about how COVID-19 is impacting our community and also just talk to some of our local heroes and just to learn more about ways we can help our community grow and be better. And today we have a great interview. We are here with Thomas Ward. He is the owner of Floyd's, a very popular restaurant here in Lake Nona. And we encourage you all to send us messages and talk with him because this is a very special moment that we are able to have him step away from his business just for a moment to let us know how COVID-19 is impacting him and his business, and also just creative ways that he's implementing to keep his doors open. So without any further waiting, welcome Thomas Ward. If you can kind of just tell us about Pick Floyd's and who you are and your, I guess, your representation here in the community.
Thank you very much for having me. I opened Pick Floyd's about 6 years ago. It's an international barbecue restaurant. So basically, we've taken barbecue and we've made it somewhat a little bit more urban, and we've added different sides and stuff like that. So it joined the Lake Nona community about 3 years ago.
Okay.
We just celebrated the anniversary while we're going through this. Unfortunately,
Well,
right now our doors are.
congratulations.
Thank you, thank you. Unfortunately, our doors in Lake Nona currently are closed just because of this situation. So it's a bit unfortunate, but we're getting through it.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for being here. And
Thanks for
that's
having me.
kind of what we want to talk about today as far as COVID-19 and how it is impacting your business. So just talk about overall, what has been some of the impact that you've seen ever since really social distancing has been kind of mandated and put in place?
Right. So, believe it or not, about I want to say a month ago, when the Orlando Sentinel article came out and we got chosen best barbecue, our sales obviously were hitting a different tune, and they were going up. They were on their way up, and my mill store, for example, had a record week, and all of a sudden, this started happening. We started feeling that following week our sales weakened, and then obviously when the situation happened that they were talking about social distancing and closing dining rooms, then it went to a stale. So it's been obviously a change in the ambience. It's so much different though than a hurricane, right? Because a hurricane, you know it's coming, you know what date is going to hit, you know that possibly you're going to be able to open a few days later. So the business is so different now, and what I tell people is there's no rule book specifically for this, because typically when we have a natural disaster or when we have something, we have insurance, and in this case insurance is not covering anything. So
Wow.
basically we've lost all our income. We are trying to basically negotiate our way, through basically a treacherous situation. So it's a really hard place to be in. And I only have 2 units. I know people that have 40, 50, 60, 70 units, and it's challenging.
And it seemed like, I know for many, it just kind of came out of nowhere as far as like the impact with our community. Talk about to excuse me. So talk about DoorDash, Uber Eats. I know that's something that a lot of people have been saying. If you can't go out to get food, order Uber Eats, DoorDash. But there's a lot of businesses that's offering delivery themselves. So talk about how that might be impacting your revenue personally.
So I personally am doing the delivery myself with some of my staff members so that they can have hours. That's basically, to tell you the truth, that's what's saved me from closing. And I have not done third party ever. I think third party for me personally doesn't work, just because I am a high food cost restaurant. It typically works for restaurants that work on lower food costs, Mexican, Italian kind of thing. I don't like the third party apps. They charge about 25 to 30% depending. Unless you're a big change, they charge 20%. And in those instances, right, they let you, now they allow you to raise your price, but in at the beginning when it started, you couldn't raise your price, so it was a challenge for us in raising prices 25%. That would price us out of the market, and it would make us look super overpriced when really we're not.
Yeah.
So it's third party is, for me, food costs is important, and at the same time food quality is important, and I don't want anybody that I don't know handling my food. So that's just my this is my opinion. I have
Hmm.
other people in the restaurant business that are fine with it, and they don't have the capability of just doing delivery out of their store, and they don't want to take the responsibility and the liability. So it's a lot of things you have to revisit during this time.
And you've always done your own delivery, even
I
before.
I didn't used to do any
Okay.
delivery. I used to do only takeout and dine in, and obviously it has changed everything, right?
So let's talk about that. What are some ways that you have just implemented in your own business model right now to keep your doors open? You just told us delivery. Is there anything else that you've been doing differently?
Yeah, a couple weeks ago when this was starting, we started with family meals. I was trying to find a way that I could feed the most amount of people for good value,
Okay.
and bring in the biggest dollars in, right? Because right now it's all about cash flow and managing cash flow and being able to have enough cash in the bank to pay your supplier, to pay your employees, and see, if we can make it through this. Because right now there's nothing else that we can actually pay because we're not making any money. Delivery, a lot of people don't understand the part of delivery where paper cost is super expensive, right?
Okay.
A shallow half pan for me is 36 cents by itself, plus the lid, which is another 25 cents. So I use about five half pans to do one of these takeout orders. So it's about $2.50, $3 on top of my credit card fee, which normally it's a 2.2%, 2.1%. Now that I don't have the card in person, it's a 3.5%. So a
Wow.
lot of these things change, and people don't realize that. And so basically, whatever your costs were, now they're much more than
Or
what
even
it used to
higher.
be. Yeah, they're even higher. So it's less money that you're making. Sure, they could say like, "Oh, well, you're not paying this, you're not paying that," but we still have to pay it. It's not
Yeah.
going away. It's not like we got a gift. So, it's a tough situation to be in. We're lucky that we've been able to stay alive in one restaurant at least.
Yeah.
Um, but it's again no rule book. Trying to go out and finding ways to be able to be popular because everybody's staying at home, and social media is basically what's putting the word out there, and it's basically everybody competing for the same dollar,
Yeah.
right? So it's just like you have to be. I said today to somebody, it's like being in high school. You have to be the cool kid every day,
Every day.
right?
Well, speaking of being a cool kid, Devin just wrote in that they love working for you. So
Thanks, Devin. I
clearly,
appreciate it.
you are somewhat of a cool kid. But someone, Dave, just came in and asked, why didn't they deliver before? So that's just something they would like to know. Why didn't you decide to deliver before COVID-19?
Well, the cost of delivery is a lot. I mean, right now gas is cheap, right?
Yeah.
And basically, I have to tell you, Dave, the hardest thing that we had for the last 6 months is finding employees. The unemployment rate was super low. We couldn't find staff. I used to have to wash dishes 4 times a week because I couldn't find dishwashers. So it was tough in that sense. And to have people to just deliver, that means that you're putting out there a system, and that system has to work every day,
Yeah.
right? So if you don't have consistent, staffing, then you have problems. And I don't like to do anything that I can't do every day consistently. So
Yeah.
that's the hardest part about delivery.
So, do you think that post COVID-19, once we come out of this, do you think this is something that you will continue doing delivery? I know that some businesses have found ways to keep going and then think, well, maybe we'll continue to do that.
I think what we're doing now, we're doing kind of like a tour. So we choose an area. Today we went to Oviedo,
Okay.
and I think that system works where I'm gonna deliver between 5 or 6. You're gonna order a family meal, and your food is gonna be there for dinner. That system I like, and I think we will continue it forward. I mean, I'm
Okay.
going to Tampa tomorrow. I'm going to Miami on Thursday. I have 45 orders to take down to Miami
Okay.
of people that are fans of the restaurant over there.
Wow.
So it's something that I think is possible following through after this. It's just again the challenge of being sure that you're staffed to do this, right?
Exactly. Well, again, for anyone that's just joining in on the interview, I'm Linnea Batiste with Lake Nona Social. We're joined with Thomas Ward. He is the owner of Pick Floyd's, a very popular restaurant here in Lake Nona. And he is just really talking to us about how COVID-19 has impacted his business and also ways that they are implementing new strategies to stay open. So we encourage you to send your questions through as they're coming through. I will be asking them to him. So he did tell me earlier that really no question is off the table if he's here to educate. So if you have any question, please send them through so that we can get you a part of the conversation. Um, Also, I wanted to ask you as far as Pig Floyd's, and your employee base. Have you had to furlough people or or let go people because of this? What is the structure right now of your employee base?
I have about 7 to 8 employees working. I
Mm-hmm.
did have to furlough the staff in Lake Nona, unfortunately, and I did have to furlough about 10 staff members from Mills. It's a cash again. It's a cash situation, guys.
Yeah.
Like it's that's the part that a lot of people don't understand in the restaurant business. We work so much with cash that you think that people would have 6 months down the line and all that. Um, it doesn't work that way. Like big
Yeah.
restaurant chains, don't even have the cash to go through this. So
Yeah.
it's just a very very intricate situation because we count on whatever cash comes in from last night. We pay our suppliers, we pay our employees. We use that over a 1 week period of time or a 2 week period of time, depending on what we have to pay in that time.
Yeah.
So cash flow is the most important thing in this business, and that's what we don't have right now.
Well, Tiffany just came through and said the ladies of Women's Care Florida Lake Nona
Oh, thank
miss
you,
you
Tiffany. That's
guys.
awesome. That's
So they
awesome.
definitely want to give
We
your
miss
love.
you. We
And
miss
I
you a
think
lot
that
too.
a lot of businesses are feeling that pinch right now of that cash flow not coming in, and it's impacting so many people. And so when that said, we love their food, don't get it as much now since my son has a peanut allergy.
We
Um,
can work through that. We can work through that. We don't use the only thing that we use peanut is in our slaw.
okay.
So yeah, we can work through that.
So Leanne, just don't get the slaw, but other things you all are flexible
Yeah, we're
and can
flexible.
work through. And now they're delivering. So for everyone out there who just joined, Pick Floyd's is delivering. We're just talking about ways that they are just keeping their doors open through this pandemic. Also, talk about how some of your other business colleagues are feeling right now. What are they saying? How are they being impacted as well?
So we try. We basically it's almost like going to AA. We're like a support system. We call each other every day. We see how sales are.
Okay.
We talk a lot about what people are doing in the business, and obviously, trying to adapt into this situation is really tough because, like I said, a lot of people are doing the same things. We're limited to what we can do. So that's mostly our conversations, and how are we dealing with landlords? How are we dealing with suppliers? How are we dealing with staff? What are we doing? I mean, it's a crazy world that we're living in right now, and for us, for me at least, I consider liability very important,
Yeah.
because it's a very litigious society. So for we try to talk about those kind of things. Obviously we try to stay positive, but
Yeah.
it's just a challenging time.
And it's difficult. Leonore just messaged in, are you delivering in Lake Nona? I know you said you had two locations. Are you delivering within Lake Nona right
We
now?
are. We have a schedule up in our social media channels, Facebook, Instagram, and everything that says exactly when we're delivering to the different areas in town. We have delivered to Lake Nona the last 2 weeks, and it's been really successful. Um, and we're trying to find the spots in Orlando that people really want to support that kind of delivery system, right? Where it's a family meal and all that.
Awesome. Well, Tim just wrote in, why are you delivering all the way to Miami? Can you just elaborate on more on that, please?
Then I chose Miami because if I can get a bunch of orders together, which I did. I got about 45 orders. Right now, gas is so cheap, and I have nothing but time,
Like all of us.
like all of us. So, eventually I would like to grow Pick Floyd's in the state of Florida. Miami and Fort Lauderdale was in my radar before this.
Okay.
So I'm basically just going down there and putting family meals in people's homes to see if they could try it and talk about it. And you know, hey, we're in a social media planet right now, so everything is about putting it out there, putting the voice, talking about the brand, keep it growing.
Yeah.
And that's the majority of what I want to do with Big Floyd's. It's just I want to keep it growing. I think we have something that in my opinion, it's cool. So
And Danae just came in and asked, will you be putting together a family dinner menu for
it
Easter
is
to
it
look
is
forward to?
out there. Yeah, it is
Okay.
out there already. It's online. You could take a look at it. We have a bunch of different options. Um, some very cool, in the future coming up. Once we get out of this, we're going to put in our catering menu mac and cheese, baked beans, and cornbread, which are typically barbecue sides.
Yeah.
So that'll be
I'm
that'll
getting
be
hungry
cool.
already.
Yeah.
So also, Angie just came through and said, we miss you in Lake Nona. I'm ordering tomorrow with Gideon's food.
Yeah,
Amazing.
we did something really cool with Gideon's. And we're delivering cookies, chocolate chip and Oreo cookies with your meal. And it's awesome. I love Steve. He's a great guy, great brand, and I think it's a great combination for both of us.
Well, people, of course, love Pick Floyd's. Just for everyone that's joining in again, we are speaking with Thomas Ward. He is the owner of Pick Floyd's. I know you all have all enjoyed their food, and he's just talking to us about how COVID-19 has impacted them and ways they're keeping their doors open and serving us and doing delivery and how they're growing. Despite what's going on. So we encourage you to send your questions through. As they're coming through, I am sending them to his way. Gwendolyn is asking anything for healthcare professionals. Are you doing anything for, specific or special for them?
Yeah, something really cool we're coming up with is just what we're trying to do is obviously trying to figure out a way to put it in front of healthcare professionals and
Okay.
first responders. So what we're doing is brown paper bag lunches or dinners. It's a very simple thing. It's individually wrapped.
Okay.
And now we're trying to figure out a way to get people to donate so that healthcare professionals don't have to pay for it.
Okay.
I know a lot of people have called me about paying for lunch or dinners for people that are working as first responders, and we're going to find a way, obviously, to get it in. And then we have a list of different places where we're going to take the food to.
Okay.
So
And will you be putting that information on your social media accounts so
it
people
is.
can
It is
donate?
coming out. It is coming out tomorrow. We're putting the list together. We're finding a way to try to get it together, and obviously putting it out there. I just want to do it the most organized way because obviously, in that sort of situation, for me personally, is if there's money coming in that is a donation, we want to put it right out. I don't want anybody. People get weird with that, so
Yeah, I
you know,
completely understand your reservations.
yeah.
Kelly wrote in, we love Pick Floyd's. Thank you for wonderful food and being a great community business. I could not agree more, or I couldn't agree more, because this is, you're just showing ways that you just love your customers and your fans and really trying to be flexible amongst all this.
Yeah, I think it's important that we pivot in this situation. Obviously, it's such a different part of the business. This is unseen, and
Yeah.
so if we're able to make sense of this whole situation, that's such a terrible thing that's everybody's going through. Then it's great, and we can make it to the other side. Which I hope. It gets more complicated every day.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Time. We have some holding power, and something that I want to be clear about is a lot of people have been hearing that we're getting all these money, like we're getting all this government grants and all this stuff.
Yes.
This is not fluid. I want to say, so that you guys understand, the $50,000 they talked about, that it's a government loan. I applied for it 2.5 weeks ago. I haven't gotten any response.
And I think that's some of the biggest issues a lot of people have, not just with the government loans, but when it comes to anyone that's out there trying to apply for unemployment and those benefits. It's a long, lengthy process if you hear anything, if the
Yes.
site's even working. So, as you hear, even Thomas is with you on that as far as the difficulty to even get some of these programs.
Yeah, the programs. I mean, right now, the program that's out with the SBA, today I got an email about an hour ago saying, hey, we're trying to work through this application, but the SBA is not giving us the closing documents, so we can't do anything, right?
Gotcha.
And yesterday I was talking to a banker. It's such a massive amount of people asking for this money that my bank had thousands of applications, and they were only able to input 5 into the system
Wow.
because it crashed.
It's just
So
that's what we're hearing. That is like
yeah,
the theme that we're hearing from so many people. Someone else just wrote in, will you ever do you have plans of going to Hunter's Creek by any chance?
it's not in my plans of right now,
Okay.
right? I mean, my I one of the things that I've recognized about this business in the last 6 years is I have an area where the concept works, and I
Yeah.
have to have certain demographics, and to make it successful. I can't just a lot of people, which is what you're going to see now. There's going to be a lot of closed restaurants just because they work out of numbers and demographics and areas, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But
Yeah.
for a guy like me, I need to go to places that work because
Yeah.
I'm so small. you know
Yeah. And someone else, Luis just came through and said when they first came here from Puerto Rico, you were one of the first restaurants that they tried. So
oh,
kudos
that's
to you.
awesome. Thank you. I appreciate
And
that.
another user just came through and said, how do you eat your ribs? How did you get your ribs to taste so good? What's the secret? Can you share with us that secret?
Yeah, so one of the things right now, actually, funny thing is we have two different kind of ribs. We just added a new honey sriracha rib.
Mm,
That's a fried product, and it's really awesome. But our ribs are smoked every day, and basically we smoke them for 3 hours, then we wrap them for another two, and it's basically the process, and the fact that we only sell fresh ribs. I don't sell anything that has been cooled down, even though
okay.
I have to tell you, pork tastes better when it's cooled down the next day. That's just my opinion.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I've known of people that sell desserts that have to do the dessert the day before and they cool it down and it tastes better. It's
Huh.
just when the flavor settles, I think it's just a
So when all
different
the
thing.
juices kind of settle in and mix together.
Yeah,
All right, that's an expert tip, guys. It
expert
tastes
tip.
better.
If you do pork, I always recommend for you to do it the day before, cool it down, and then reheat it with some juice. But if you do stuff like brisket, brisket does not reheat well, in my opinion, obviously.
Yeah.
And ribs, the only way that I do them is if I fry them,
Wow.
which
All
is what
right.
we do with the honey sriracha ribs.
So this is why people should just go in and take advantage of delivery right now when you're at home. If I know you have time to cook, but if you don't want to, Pick Floyd's is delivering. Julie just came through and she says,
Oh,
so
great.
great.
Yeah, that's awesome, Julie.
I
Thank you so
can't agree.
much.
Also, I wanted to talk to you about what are just some ways that you all are keeping your employees safe and keeping yourself safe during delivery and keeping your doors open. Have you done anything differently?
Yeah, obviously we're practicing social distancing. We're not
Mhm.
allowing anybody to eat in the restaurant or outside.
Okay.
Everybody's wearing gloves. They have to wash their hands every 15 to 20 minutes.
Okay.
We have to disinfect all areas, every hour on the hour. It's change, but at the same time, we haven't gotten into the situation where we're wearing masks yet. It's coming, I think. Um, this is something so different, right? We've
Yeah.
never experienced it, so I don't know if we try to protect ourselves the most possible, but this is such an underlying. You don't know what's going on. You don't know if the person's carrying it. The person doesn't even know sometimes. So
Yeah.
it's an interesting it's an interesting way to work through it. That's the only issue that I have with this situation going forward,
Okay.
is just how are we going to be able to open our doors in the next month or two, and how is that going to change the whole business, right?
Yeah.
And that's where I don't think some of the people are looking at this, right? It's just the situation is not. I don't know if it's going to get better. I hope it is,
I do too.
but in that case, how is it going to change our business model going forward? And are we able to sustain that going forward, right?
Yeah. And
Because
that brings up an interesting point. But before I get to that, Hiram just wants to say, pick Floyd's the best in town. Love their ribs. Amazing. Thomas, you are the best. So you have a lot of fans coming through and showing love. So even during this difficult time, I think we were speaking earlier and you were making delivery. So I know that it can probably, stressful is probably just like an understatement at this point. But you have a lot of fans out there who are really, really supportive and interested. But I really want to touch on what you just said as far as the economic impact for you all post COVID, and what does that look like keeping your doors open? Have you even maybe thought about how that might look in July or August? Have you just kind of brainstormed or thought about it?
Well, this caught us in our best time,
Yeah,
right? So our months of March, April, May graduations, all that is fantastic.
yeah,
And then all of a sudden it's going to hit us with summer, which is June and July, and then August, which is our worst month. August and September
really.
are
I
the
didn't.
worst. Just because parents are out there spending money with their kids, for school and everything like that. Um, so it's gonna be a difficult, treacherous direction. I just, that's the biggest question that I have for a lot of people that are considering it government wise and everything like that. They're gonna have to help us out, or banks. One of the biggest situations that was underlined before is that banks don't like restaurants, right?
Wow. Okay, I never knew that. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
So banks don't like restaurants. Banks sit in front of you and go like, "We don't want to finance you unless your financials are ridiculously strong." And my financials are strong, and still, I
It's
had hard
difficult.
time just getting lines of credit or credit extended to open new stores. So it's a challenge unless you're a national brand. If you want to open a McDonald's and you have history with McDonald's of success, then you will get money. But if you're a concept like me, which has only two stores, it's hard. It's hard.
Yeah,
It's you build debt, and banks obviously want to see a fantastic credit report, and I have pretty good report, but I
yeah,
mean, you have debt. You have to build business with debt, or you have to build business with private capital. But imagine how it's just going to private capital after this. Everybody's
yeah.
going to be scared of investing in a restaurant. It was already a tough business. It was
Before.
already, yeah, before. It was already people thinking that, it's the worst investment. It's not a bad investment. It just has to have the right operator. Um,
We had someone that just came through and they just want to know, and I think this is a really interesting question. As a new customer, what would you consider a must order entree dish at Pick Floyd's?
I always say the two meat combo so that you could try the pork and the brisket, and you get
Okay.
two sides and the ribs. I
Okay.
mean, our tacos are great, but I think it's more of a lunch item, or if you are not feeling like a heavy lunch. But I think everybody right now is eating at home everything, so I just
Yeah.
think go for the meat.
Go for everything and go
Go
for the
for
family
everything.
meals when they come through. And Jose just came through and said the brisket is amazing for anyone out there who wants to try something different. But again, we are with Thomas Ward. He is the owner of Pig Floyd's, and we are just talking all things Pig Floyd's. You can ask any question that you want to, from what is the best entree that someone just came through and asked, or just how they're recuperating or just working through COVID-19. So we're here to take your questions, and any concerns that you have. Also, I just want to know, as far as when you are just looking about, when you're out and delivering and doing those things, how are people getting their deliveries? Are they having you put them on the doorstep? What is how have people been receptive towards you? That's just something that's very interesting to me.
We are practicing, and we stated on the phone when you place your order that we're just dropping it off in your front
Okay.
door, and we'll knock on your door, or on obviously on your door ring, and then we will step away. I I wait to see that the person has received their order and picked it up, and I appreciate it, and I say thank you, and then I step away. But yeah, we haven't come close. We try not to get close just so that people feel comfortable in the situation, and
Yeah.
we wear gloves. But I mean, there's so much you can do other than wearing a hazmat suit.
Yeah.
So I
And I don't think
mean,
we even have any of those for us to have,
right,
even if
we
we
don't.
had to wear that.
Yeah.
So again, let's just kind of start back from the top. For those who are just joining in, just overall, just how has your business been impacted with COVID-19, and what did you all do to kind of, or things that you've put in place just to keep your doors open and to keep working?
Like I mentioned, the most important thing in the business is cash flow and protecting your cash in this
Okay.
situation, right?
Mhm.
So we had to place, certain cuts so that we can make it through this situation. We don't know how long it was going to last, starting off, right? And
Yeah.
we didn't know what kind of restrictions the government was going to place on us. So every restriction basically has dampened our sales a little bit more. Um, so, the protection of just having cash in the bank account is the most important thing.
Yeah.
So, for us, the most that we can do is cut labor, right?
Gotcha.
Because you can't cut food. You have a certain food cost, and if you're running a full menu, which I think they asked if we're running a full menu,
Yes, that was my
we
take.
have been till now. We have been
Okay.
till now. We're just gonna cut a few sandwiches out
Okay.
that require a lot of products that are not, selling the same way.
Okay.
So we're gonna limit it just a few sandwich items, and that's it. We're gonna have the rest of the menu, um, and just trying to control our labor, obviously, and trying to control food costs. I'm buying food every day
Okay.
because it's changed now. Suppliers have frozen accounts, and
Wow.
yeah. So I mean, I had two
That's,
weeks.
and those are things you don't think about. There's the trickle down effect. Like your own supplier, you might not be able to get something that you need to operate normally.
Well, I mean, they're getting most of the stuff. The issue becomes just they're obviously protecting themselves financially. So I have 2 week terms with them, and I've paid down most of what they owed them, but
Okay.
now they want me to pay cash because they want to make sure they don't know, right? They don't know if I'm lying to them or telling them the truth or whatever. They have full trust
Yeah.
supposedly, but they still want their cash, right? They have to protect themselves. A lot of these companies have a lot of money sitting out there. So, you know, my
It's just
supplier,
it's just
one of my
impacting
suppliers,
so much.
yeah, my one of my suppliers furloughed 400 employees the other day in one of their facilities, and so it's tough for them. People don't consider it, and they lose a lot of food. There's some things that have gone on special that are crazy that I've
Yeah.
never seen before. I mean, brisket prices that are unreal,
Yeah.
um, because they just have dates, and
And they
they're
have to
going
follow
through.
those dates,
They
or
have to
it's,
follow those dates. They
you
can't
can't use
freeze
it.
it, right? So, you know, a lot of these suppliers sometimes are are trying to save some of the items. Obviously, like they could freeze pork, they freeze ribs, but those are things that before COVID I never bought frozen. I
Yeah.
buy. I'm the only guy. I want to say this, and maybe my competition might get mad at me, but I'm the only guy that's buying all fresh. I'm buying fresh ribs, fresh pork, fresh brisket, fresh chicken, fresh everything.
Well,
So
that's good to know for anyone out there who buys Pick Floyds or is thinking about buying Pick Floyds. We have someone that just wanted to say thank you for delivery this weekend. It was the first time I had the ribs and they were awesome. Looking forward to the next time.
that's awesome.
So that's
Thank you.
a testament to your business and people here in Lake Nona. They really love your food and just we want to say thank you for just going the extra mile. I know that it's been difficult for businesses just to stay open. And you also said that this is something we should be looking forward to as far as maybe seeing other businesses closed around us. And I just want you to kind of circle back around about what does that mean and also how all of you business owners are kind of becoming a support group for each other. I think that's amazing.
Well, you got to think about, as a restaurant for ourselves, we consider the important factor is all these businesses that are surrounding us are bringing traffic, right? The fact that these businesses have to close or make the decision through all this to stay at home or work from home
Yeah.
means there's less traffic. It all trickles down. So it all trickles down. Less traffic, less sales, less money in the bank, less money to pay for rent, and we were in a very bullish market. So the
Yeah.
rents were super high. And landlords, I understand they have to pay their financing, but at the same time, this is a situation that's out of control.
Yeah.
Like this is something that's unheard of. Uh, we've tried to go through the contracts and say this is a force majeure, but they don't use that. So, this is a
Yeah,
base by
so it
base.
because that's one thing that I've always wondered, and this is for homeowners and renters as well in all industries, whether it's, your home or if you're in commercial properties, how are landlords acting? Are they giving you that room to continue working? Or what has been your personal experience where it's just kind of like on the first of the month, rent is due?
My landlords, I think are going to work with me. I
Okay.
think, I
No,
think,
that's amazing.
right? I think,
Yeah.
but at the same time, you have to consider this is an extraordinary event.
Yeah.
Um, I've heard of big chains calling their landlords, telling them they're not going to pay them for 90 days, and they've been fine with it. So they've negotiated terms to just move it to the end of the lease, or, you know, try to see how they can adapt during the time. The thing is, you could say 3 months, and I don't think it's going to be 3 months.
I don't
So,
either.
right? So it's going to be something that we're going to battle again in the next 3 months and go like, hey, man, I might not have the money to pay the rent, so you're going to have to kick me out. Um, I'm just being real, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we might not see restaurant closures now, but I think in the next 6 months, we might see some more restaurant closures just because
Yeah,
of the
the
fact that
lasting impacts of this moment.
we could see this impact us for a year. Because you have to think how much cash was in your account before this.
Yeah.
Did you have any opportunity to open credit lines? Did you take your credit lines out because banks are now closing credit lines? So if you had, let's say, $100,000 line of credit and you didn't use it, the bank's going back to you and saying, "Hey, we're going to cut your credit to 50 grand."
Wow. So they're actually backtracking. So whatever
Oh
you
yeah, they
thought
don't
you
care,
had,
right?
wow,
They
that's
don't. They're
interesting.
going to protect themselves. I mean, I've been through this in the 2008 time when we had issues obviously with real estate, and that's how banks were reacting.
Yeah.
I want, I have to tell you, I had lines for homes to buy, and the bank came to me one day and said, we want our money today. And when you go out and you look for new money, that new money doesn't have the same value. So you say like, hey, we have this amount of money out there, we can't put it back. So um, it's a challenge. It's a challenge, and I think it's got to be where everybody needs to work together to get us through this, because this is not a one person deal. So
And I also want to know, how did your team react when you had to do furloughs? Was it an emotional thing for you, or were how just how was the emotion there? How did they react to it?
it's a tough situation because right now you have to control your emotions through this. It sounds very bad. It sounds very cold, but
Yeah,
um, this is sort of when I think you can't lose control. I'm very, 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 very sad that we had to do that situation. Do the furloughs, but at the same time, we got to protect the company,
yeah,
right? Because this is not about protecting Thomas as a person. This is protecting the company so
gotcha.
that we can make it through, and obviously we can open up and give jobs again. Um, Again, the government supposedly is providing us with some help. We have yet to see it. I hope we get it, right? And that's going to assist us with helping our staff. There's a lot of programs out there trying to help restaurant staff and bar staff, and but again, the sites are crashing.
Yeah,
So it's sort of a situation that's never happened ever before, right?
and
Because so
everyone's just kind of going day by day
day by day.
to
You're
figure
at
this out.
home. You're trying to figure out how to get your next meal, and that sort of situation is tough, because I don't think a lot of people have been through those kind of situations before, where it's
Yeah,
just
I've never been
changed.
through a pandemic, so
No, right?
this is, and it's hit our home, it's hit everyone's home personally,
Yes.
um, with just the impact. Again, anyone that's joining, this is Thomas Ward. He is the owner of Pick Floyd's. I know that everyone has, or at least just about everyone has tried their wonderful food. So if you have any questions, we're still taking live questions. He said pretty much nothing is off the table. So if you want to ask something, please do it now, so that you can kind of learn a little bit about how they've been impacted by COVID-19, but also how they're keeping their doors open and keeping the yummy food delivered to your door. And I also just want to kind of talk about, on a lighter note, your menu. I know you said that some things, some sandwiches are off the menu, but just again, just talk about what you all are offering for people. There's a lot of questions coming through. Where and what number can they call to deliver? What items can they order, and what can they expect for delivery, and what areas? So if you can just kind of talk about what you're offering right now.
So right now, what we're offering is a family meal. Basically, it's a family of four meal where you could have one whole chicken and 1 pound of pork with rice and beans and plantains for $49.99, or brisket for $54.99.
Okay.
You can add full racks of ribs, or you could add whatever other sides you want to do on top of that, and we will deliver it to the different areas that we're going. The schedule is up on social media, on Facebook or Instagram. You can also call the 1-833 Pig Love number, and it basically directs you to our catering staff that'll take your order, take your address, your credit card information, and from there, we will make sure that either you pick it up or we deliver it. 1-833 Pig Love.
Well, that's amazing. So everyone, if you were trying to get through, keep calling. They have delivery now. They're delivering to you. They will take your payment. Try not to use any third party apps for other restaurants. I know Pick Floyd's, you all do not use third party apps, so you
We do
can
not.
call them and they can get the food directly to you. Is there anything else that you would like to say, just to tell the Lake Nona community, as you've seen tonight? People really love your food. They are so appreciative. Someone else just said we hadn't had the chicken before until we had the family meal delivered. It was so good. I can't tell you how many messages. People aren't even asking questions really at this point. They're just like, it's amazing. So what is
Yeah,
something
we
you would just like to say?
we brine our chicken, so that's one of the many
Okay.
reasons that our chicken is really tasty. What I do want to say in the Lake Nona community is this: Lake Nona is a newer community. We've gotten a lot of support, but a lot of people are cognizant that there's a lot of national chains. Okay, national chains obviously have different fighting power than we do. So at this point, I want to say to the people in Lake Nona, please support your local restaurants. There is a lot of families that live and survive off these restaurants working there. They work really hard. Suhi Station, me, Nona Blue, and down the street, there's a bunch of restaurants. So, what I do want to say is please support local. Please support, even if it's a chain, but it's a franchise, support that family because they live from that income.
Yes.
And just realize that you have to practice a lot of patience during this time. um Actually, the Lake Nona restaurants that are open, that are, I mean, it's basically a family. It's Tavistock, but Park Pizza is open.
Hmm.
Support them. um I think they're, you know the most important thing that you should practice is patience during this time. We're running with skeleton crews.
Okay.
We're trying to do the best possible that we can keep costs down. A lot of people have become impatient, and I wish that people understood that we're not operating at full force here. We're operating to see if we could keep this alive. So
Exactly.
practice patience, support local. That's all really I want to mention.
I think those are great words to end with. If you have any more questions, please put them through. We have about a couple more minutes. But just to wrap it up, shop local, really support your local businesses. Also, be patient, give them a little time. We aren't running on that Amazon super quick delivery at your door time pre COVID 19.
No, we're not.
It
We're
is a
not.
skeleton crew. But also check out Pig Floyd's family of four. You don't have to be a family of four, it could be one person or two people.
Yeah,
You have
absolutely.
food for several days.
You do. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people, believe it or not, are ordering that family meal so that they could time it out during the week for lunch or dinner. So it's enough. I mean, it's a great value. If I know it, some people might say, "Oh my God, it's $50," but I mean, it's a lot of food for that amount.
Yeah.
So it's really important that you see value in that.
And before we end again, tell everyone where they can go and place an order of delivery of Pig Floyd's or pickup.
So right now we're operating with the number 1833 Pig Love, right? And you can also call the store if you like. It's 407-203-0866. We're at currently operating at our Mills location. Hopefully, in the next few weeks or months, we can open our Lake Nona location again. But for right now, Mills is the location that's open. Please look at our schedule. We're online on Instagram. We're Pig Floyd's. On Facebook, we're Pig Floyd's Urban Barbacoa. And watch the social media. We have some funny things we've been doing. I'm wearing a wig, as you can see. I have no hair.
Really?
Yeah. So I mean, right now at this point, I'm doing whatever we can. Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, we're hustling. We're selling. We're going out there. We're delivering it to your house. We're making it easy for you to eat Pig Floyd's
Well, I'm glad we're here to support and for everyone else to support. Follow them on Facebook, Instagram, follow all their social
everywhere.
networks. I would love to see you in a wig. So I am going to check that out
You should
now
check it out. It's really funny. It's really
because
funny.
I think that's amazing. But again, thank you so much for speaking with us and being open and honest and really telling us how you all have just found your way to stay open and to continue giving us that good old Pig Floyd's. And I know so many people are happy and excited to know that you all are delivering. And I just encourage you, even after this is done, there's been so many comments just thanking you, Thomas, and for this and just saying how much they love your restaurant. So when in times of just stressfulness and in doubt, just look at those messages because a lot of people are just giving you a lot of
Yeah,
love
I
right
guess I
now.
have to every day.
Yes, you might just need to scroll through it and say, okay, that little pick me up because we love you here. And again, someone else, Raquel, just came through. No question. I just love Pig Floyd's. We'll
Thank you.
definitely order family catering
Awesome.
soon.
Awesome.
So thank you so much again, everyone. I'm Linnea Batiste, one of the hosts for Lake Nona Social. Stay tuned with us. We will be having more live interviews coming up this week of different businesses. Of course, if you know of anyone or you have any ideas, let us know. We would love to feature them. We really want to represent you and to give you some really cool content during this time of COVID-19. So be safe, stay at home, and join us next time. Bye, Thomas.
Thank you.